Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where I will remind you that Trump has a lot of experience in business, mainly bankrupting the damn things. And anyways, it appears that we may be on that route as far as AI hardware is concerned. Now, Trump didn't start this idiocy, right? We had the AI diffusion rule under Biden, and we've just had a whole bunch of stupidity going back God knows how many decades at this point, but it looks like Trump is pushing this forward. And so one of the big things that I've been talking about lately is that we are trying, the United States government is trying to prevent China from basically getting ahead in the AI space. There's this idea that artificial intelligence can be used for war. Artificial intelligence is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Ergo, we have to stop the China man from getting AI. Even though AI can also be used for healthcare, AI can be used for logistics, AI can be used for education, AI can be used for weather mapping and all kinds of other things, right? Because it can be used in weapons. Oh my golly, we got to keep them from getting AI. But the thing is, China is the second largest economy in the world. They are considered the factory of the world. And if you're telling the China man to stop progressing their civilization, I don't believe that's going to go very well. And so what we've seen is that China has just plugged along, right? If they can't buy NVIDIA GPUs, if they can't buy other AI hardware from the United States or from Western vendors, that they will just start manufacturing it. So we've got the Huawei, they have their whole AI series that's come out, and their AI products are either a year and a half or 2 years behind NVIDIA, or they're as good as NVIDIA, they just consume a lot more electricity. One or the other. But even if you say that they're 2 years behind NVIDIA, we're in 2025 right now, so that's basically saying that they're able to produce hardware that's as good as 2023 standards, which isn't, it's not saying 2013 standards or 2003 standards, it's 2 years old. And so the issue, and this is what I've been talking about, is as it becomes harder for China to purchase our hardware, that they'll just start producing their own and sell it to themselves, obviously. And then as we create these policies that make it more difficult for other countries to purchase our hardware, that it makes it more likely that those other countries, the people in those other countries will produce Chinese, or they'll purchase Chinese hardware. And if we look at China's progress, basically right now, we'll say they might be 2 years behind, but as progress goes, it seems pretty obvious that by the end of this decade, by 2030, they'll probably be 2 years ahead and be selling the hardware for half the price, which is where I don't understand why this is good for our country or our economy, right? The idea that you can contain artificial intelligence is idiotic on the face of it and is only going to push China to actually produce this equipment and sell it to the world. And then what are we going to have, right? What we've been told by our politicians is AI is our strength. It is a bedrock of our American power. And if China can start selling better equipment for half the price, what does that say about our power? Oh, it just makes me frustrated, right? Don't be a racist. But if you're gonna be a racist, at least be an effective one. At least be an effective one. Anywho, so we have this coming from Tom's Hardware, which is actually Bloomberg. It is weird. Everybody reads Bloomberg. I think I might actually get a Bloomberg subscription simply because everybody basically says whatever Bloomberg says. There we go. U.S. Reportedly plans to curb sales of AI GPUs to Malaysia and Thailand to prevent smuggling to China. So the idea here is if GPUs can't be sold directly to China, that these middle countries, basically people in these middle countries, are buying the GPUs, buying the equipment, and then selling it to the Chinese folks. And oh my God, we gotta stop that for some reason. Why? I don't know. But I've been told. I have been informed by my government, which I should always respect and listen to, right? When they tell you to put 5 masks on, by God, you should put those 5 masks on. When they tell you that taking the vaccine will eliminate COVID, we all know it will eliminate COVID. And when they say that we should not allow Chinaman to get AI hardware, we all know Chinaman is evil. Now, let's put that out there. Put that out there. Anyways, the U.S. government is preparing a new set of export rules that would tighten control over the exports of advanced NVIDIA AI GPUs to Malaysia and Thailand in a bid to prevent the re-export of these components to China amid existing bans. And this is the problem when you give your government authority to do something like ban, right? When you give them the power to ban, then they've got to keep following it through. You give them the power to ban to sell to China. Well, if China can get it somewhere or some other way, well, then you got to ban this, and 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 you got to ban this, right? Because that's the soul of America. The soul of America is bans and red tape, right? Anyways, a preliminary version of the new export rule states that the U.S. Commerce Department would require companies to obtain a U.S. government export license before sending AI GPUs to the 2 Southeast Asian countries. The plan has not been finalized and may change, yet it may represent another step towards limiting Chinese entities' access to high-performance NVIDIA AI GPUs. Right? It is yet another step to kneecap our own AI vendors to prevent them from selling, because we can't let Chinaman get this equipment. Malaysia and Thailand are not major suspected hubs for smuggling of NVIDIA GPUs, which again is another interesting thing. Malaysia, the country, is not listed as one of the NVIDIA's primary sources of revenue, so we do not know how much of the company earns selling products to the country. However, Malaysia has emerged as a significant destination for computing equipment and components, including CPUs and GPUs essential for AI applications, sourced from Taiwan in recent quarters. Moreover, Malaysia is reportedly used to avoid U.S. import tariffs for China-made goods, which might be a concern for the U.S. Commerce Department. Thailand is among the countries suspected of being a hub for smuggling NVIDIA's AI GPUs to China. However, without formal data, we can only wonder whether the suspicion has merit. Don't ask questions. Listen to your authority figures. They are always right. And if you do ask a question, expect a jackbooted stormtrooper to show up at your house and chuck your ass out of the country and revoke your citizenship. Trump's America. Freedom at its finest. Anyways, so yeah, I think this is kind of an interesting thing to just see where this snowball goes. And as I would argue with this, I think it is a disastrous policy for the United States, right? Whenever you look at an organization, a company, or a nation state, the reality is they all only have so many resources, right? So they've got to weigh their options to decide where they're going to be deploying their resources, right? If you're running a company, right, yes, you spend money on computer geeks, and yes, you spend money on server rooms and racks and all that kind of stuff, but you've also got to spend money on toilet paper and coffee. For any tech professionals out there, I will give you the warning. When you go from Starbucks brand coffee to Golden Lion brand coffee, that means layoffs are coming soon. When your company decides that the markup on buying boxes of Starbucks coffee is an expense they don't want to pay for anymore, so you get that Lion coffee shit, layoffs are coming, right? Because there's options, right? And so again, what I've argued with China here is that they were happy buying our AI equipment, right? They have a lot of other things going on. They have a lot of other places to put their resources that can give them a better return on investment. And so why not put their emphasis on those and then buy our equipment, right? That just makes sense. Buy the $40,000 GPUs from NVIDIA, buy the processors from Samsung or whatever else, right? We start putting these policy restrictions on them, and then all of a sudden, they don't have that option anymore. They do not have the option to give NVIDIA $40,000 per GPU. They don't have the option to buy Snapdragon processors or whatever else for some of these companies. All of a sudden, their only option is that they have to produce the equipment so that they can get the services from those equipment. Well, once they have to produce the equipment for themselves, I mean, they might as well just sell it to everybody else in the world. because, they are business people. And then all of a sudden, right, it starts to make a lot more sense for people around the world to start buying their hardware, more importantly, their tech stack versus ours. And that is going to put us in a shit position within the next 5 or 10 years, all because of these abjectly racist policies towards China. This whole thing of China is scary, China man is bad. We have to put our thumb on the Chinese civilization, because if we don't, we're worried about what will happen. It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. You know what we should be doing, right? Kucinich. Remember back in 2004, Kucinich was one of the candidates for the primaries. He had this idea for the Department of Peace. You know what we really should be doing? We should be investing a lot of money into democracies. I believe in the American century. I believe we tie the Americas together over this next 100 years, right? From Canada to U.S. to Mexico to Peru, to Chile, to Brazil, the whole 9 yards. Other than Brazil, right, they speak Portuguese. The other folks speak Spanish. A lot of people in the U.S. speak Spanish already. Most of them have democracies of some sort, right? They believe in the same capitalist systems, more or less, that we have. We should be creating rail lines that go north to south. We should make the possibility of a high school student in Ohio thinking about going to college in Santiago, Chile, just be a completely normal thing and actually build up our societies. But that's not what our government does. Our government at this point does not build the foundations of our societies, does not build the bridges to other societies to help them build their foundations. No, we are a punitive system. We will punish until they comply, which I would argue isn't effective. One, it's not a good way to do things. And two, it's not going to be effective anyway. So anyways, there we go. So we have more bans coming down the pike, more curbing of sales of our AI hardware to countries around the world in order to make sure we press our thumb down on the Chinese. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a good idea? Hell, here's a question. Do you even think it'll work? Whether you think it's good or bad, do you think it'll even work? Do you think somehow this is going to end up well for the United States? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Remember, whether you give us a thumbs up, a thumbs down, an awesome comment, or a horrible comment, it is all an interaction in the modern world of social media. So give us an interaction. And with that, I'll see y'all later.